part of the reason that I wanted to be in fashion so badly is because it's an industry that preys on insecurity. Right? I mean, it basically says to you, if you don't have this thing, then somehow you're not good enough, right? We're constantly striving for something, and fashion and marketing, that's the whole point, right? How do we make you want something by making you think you're less than? And I was coming into that experience already feeling less than. I'd had self-esteem issues my whole life. I was diagnosed with a skin disease when I was 3. It covered my body by the time I was 12. I felt like a monster. I felt like this disgusting human being that nobody would ever want to talk to or kiss or touch. And I left school for most of 6th grade because it was just so bad. And I remember going to stay with my grandmother in Florida to get sunshine, which is very good for psoriasis. And this was way before we had drugs like we have today.
Right.
And I would swim in the ocean because salt water was supposed to be good for it. And I remember my dad came down to visit me. And I wrote about this in the book, one of my books, The Truth About Style, that I was wearing a bathing suit and we were walking on the beach and he was holding my hand. And this woman came towards us and just looked at me with such horror and such disgust. And she said to my dad, "What's wrong with her?" And I could just see my dad kind of crumble under the shame and sadness of it. And I felt so bad for him because I felt like I'd put him in this terrible position.
Oh my gosh,
and
babe.
That was a lot to deal with. So when you say things like, were you terrified? Were you disgusted? I didn't have enough self-esteem to be disgusted. I was trying so hard to be part of something fantastical and beautiful and magical because I didn't feel that in myself yet. I really didn't. I didn't feel that till my 40s.
So let me dig into that for a second if I could. By the way, just for levity, would you ever get plastic surgery?
Oh my God, yes.
Have you gotten plastic surgery?
No, but I have a friend who just got a lower third facelift and she looks like $1 million. Looks
For
exactly
real?
the same. I hadn't seen her in like 6 years. Exactly the same. Nothing weird. No weird scars. I'm like,
what's a lower? They just lift up
it's like
here.
They lift your jowls and like right around this nasal labial.
Did she say it hurt
fold.
really bad?
No. She
No?
said, and she was. This was 4 months she had it ago, and she's not swollen. There's no scarring.
Oh, I love it.
I was
I love
impressed.
I love it.
My feeling about this is, why are you having plastic surgery, right? I mean, I believe you should do whatever you want with your body. You should wear whatever you want, all of these things. Even though I gave rules for 12 years, like I'm over that stage of my life. But what I do believe is that you really have to look at why you're doing something.
No,
and if
you're right.
doing something because you think I'm old enough to make this decision, it's something I always wanted, or out of necessity, let's say you have a very large chest and it's hurting your back. Do what you want, but also do what you want as long as you know what you're doing, that you're not trying to, you can't outrace time.
Right.
You're still going to die.
Of course.
Cremated or buried.
That's right.
So do what works for you and be damned anybody's judgment because they're not paying your bills and they're not living your life.
Thank you for that. And these messages sponsored by Stacy London.